Good Morning Gwinnett, a division of Noise Media Network, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, sharing stories about people and places around beautiful Gwinnett County and beyond. Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Southern living at its best.
Good morning, all my Gwinnetians out there in Gwinnett land and all of you around the world listen to the sound of my voice. It is a beautiful day here in Gwinnett County, 61 degrees, going up to a high of 77. Let me tell y'all something. I've been woke since 5:08 this morning, like literally wide awake. It was freezing. Now, here's the thing. I like to sleep cold, but I woke up freezing so much that I had to turn the heat on. I was like, oh my God, it is cold this morning. So it was a beautiful morning when I woke up. It's a beautiful day today. No sign of rain in the forecast, which is a good thing because I got to be out and about today, and I hate being out in the rain. However, I won't complain. So y'all know today is Thursday, and I have a wonderful guest with me. I'm really excited about having her as my guest because she's doing some amazing things. It's so weird how God will work things out and hook you up with people and put people in your life, and you put you in people's lives. It's just crazy. I'm excited about that. But anyway, before I get on with my guest today, I'm going to go ahead and give you your horoscopes for today. But before I tell you that, today is National Homemade Cookies Day. Now, that being said, I'm not telling you to go out there and eat a whole lot of cookies. I'm just telling you that October the 1st is National Homemade Cookie Day. And I want to give a happy birthday shout out to Kaija Wheatstone up in New Jersey. Happy birthday, baby. She and my daughter was like little kids. They were friends when they were little kids. And so I want to wish her a happy birthday. But yeah, today is National Homemade Cookies Day. So Kai, have a cookie for your birthday, but don't have too many. And for those of you who want to use this as an excuse to overeat cookies, I did not tell you to do that. I'm just telling you what today is. All right, so let's go ahead and get on with our horoscope brought to you by Noted Astrologer Michael Thompson for today, Thursday, October the 1st. And we're going to kick it off like we always do, and that is with Aries. You will find it easy finalizing personal papers if you make an effort. Your financial situation may be draining, and it's time to make some serious changes. You may be sensitive to a point of absurdity. Okay, you're going to be so sensitive today, Aries, you're going to be crazy. I don't know. I wouldn't claim that if I were you. Like, if you got to be that sensitive, you might want to fall back for a second. In the meantime, your financial situation may be draining, and it's time for you to make some serious changes. Take a look, make a budget, look at the money, see where it's flowing to. Take on a new venture. Who knows? Do what you got to do, but make some changes. Taurus, you must take care not to overexert yourself if involved in sports. Get involved in competitive sports. Friends will appreciate your attention and playful nature. Changes in your home may be alarming at first. Okay, the alarms are going off in your home today, Taurus. I don't know what the changes are, but it's going to send the alarms off today. And don't overexert yourself when you get involved in sports. Yeah, I know tonight is my bowling night. I got 2 meetings. Once I finish the show, I'm going to go do my meeting. I got to come back and update the website, and I'm going to relax because I sucked last week in bowling. My scores were horrible. I didn't even make my average. I was terrible. Today, I'm going to blow it out the water. That's my sports. All right. Gemini, get together with friends for some competitive physical activities. If you can include them in your plans, do so. Discuss your problems and complaints if you wish to rectify them. Listen, talk it out, Gemini. Talk it out. If you got a problem or complaint, talk it out. The worst thing in the world is to keep it inside as if it's going to resolve itself. It will not. Trust me when I tell you. If you don't talk it through, it's never going to be resolved. Whether you like the outcome or not, at least you have put it out on the table and people know. They know where they stand. Now there's no questions. All right. Cancer. Opportunities to make advancement through good business sense are evident. You may find that children are not as accepted as you have been. But when are they ever? I'm just saying. Be diplomatic and honest, and that person will only be made to look bad. All right, listen. Be diplomatic and honest, Cancer, and that person will only be made to look bad. So don't you fall down to their level, Cancer. Don't do it. Let them look bad by themselves. You got a rep to protect, baby. Leo, you will learn a great deal about yourself if you go to somewhere secluded. Yeah, Leo, I can see that happening. Don't let anyone take credit for your job you did. You may want to put your creative thinking cap on. Listen, let me tell you something about going away to secluded places. When I went to the ranch, my husband and I went to that ranch. It was amazing. I got to tell you, I'm looking forward to going to the cabin in another month. where we're going to probably be secluded again with a lake so he could fish. When we go to places like that, I just fall back and relax and clear my head. Sometimes you have to do that for yourself. You have to just fall back, go to somewhere nice and quiet, clear your head. I'm telling you, when you come back, you feel amazing. Sometimes I'm tired when I come back, though. If I have a vacation full of activity, I need to take a vacation when I come from the vacation. All right, Virgo. Some of that extra energy you have stored up might just be put to good use. Travel and family gatherings are in order. Yeah, you will benefit by taking care of other people's concerns. Okay, now listen, Virgo, I don't know what that means, but you take care of other people's concerns, it's going to benefit you. That's a good thing. It's probably somebody that need your help. That's all I'm saying. All right, I'm going to go to a song, and I'll be right back after the sun to give you more of the horoscopes brought to you by Nodal Astrologer Micah Thyson. You're listening to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show. Stay tuned. I'm about to mess that song up. Welcome back to the Good Morning Gwinnett Show. It's your girl, Audrey Bell Kearney, giving you the daily horoscopes brought to you by Nodal Astrologer Micah Thyson. We're going to pick it up with Libra. Don't trust coworkers with important personal information. You would take on too much if you aren't careful. Stick to basics. Your ideas can be put to action. Listen here. Keep your business to yourself today, Libra. It's not the time to share your personal information with your coworkers because somebody is going to tell something. So if you don't want it out, don't tell it. Scorpio. Renovations to your domestic scene will pay high rewards. You can have a great time if you go out with the one you love. Minor fevers or infections will develop if you overstress. All right, listen. Don't overstress. Somebody had the same heart part of their horoscope yesterday. Minor fevers and infections. That's because I think it was Aquarius. Aquarius is always sick, though. I don't know what's going on with you guys. That's what the stars are always telling us about you. But today is Scorpio. Don't do it. Don't overstress yourself so you don't be sick. All right. Sagittarius, don't neglect those those problems. Deal with them once and for all. Then move on to more pleasurable tasks. Go out and rub shoulders with people in high positions if possible. A little volleyball or other outdoor sports should be on your agenda. What is the thing? Okay, the stars is. What is the thing with the volleyball? Like, who play? Is it volleyball season or something? I think the stars is saying that because yesterday somebody was playing volleyball. Was supposed to anyway. I'm bowling. I'm using a different kind of ball, a bowling ball. Yeah. Capricorn, look into your career choices and courses being offered. Yep, y'all know how I feel about courses. Misunderstandings could cause confusion and upset. Take the time to close the deals that have been up in the air. Listen, you know what I say about courses, Capricorn. I'm about to talk about my favorite place, and they're not paying me. They need to pay me. Much as I talk about them, I'm gonna have to reach out to them too. Like, listen, go back and listen to the last 25 episodes, and I talked about your organization. But anyway, if you need to take a class, Capricorn, go over to Udemy or Udemy. It depends on who you ask. Udemy. Go to udemy.com. That's udemy.com, and check out the courses there. They have some amazing courses there. Pretty much on anything you can learn. Anything. If you want to learn Salesforce, there's a class there for that. If you don't learn how to do Alexa, there's a class for that. Whatever you want to learn is there. VR, languages, all that stuff is right there. Anything you think you want to learn how to code and do Python, you should, because that's one of the top top coding programs out right now. Go check out Udemy. Learn something new. Keep learning, keep earning. That's what I say. The more you learn, the more you learn, the more you earn. Yes. Aquarius, intellectual stimulation is what you're looking for. Don't confide in anyone for the time being. Don't let peers distract you or push their work your way. Tell them, no, sir. You're going to do your own work today. No. That's not coming to my desk. No. Tell them, Aquarius. Don't be afraid. And my fellow fish Pisces, you have the ability to motivate others. You can bet officials will be waiting for you when you do. Fish, that doesn't sound too good. Don't neglect those problems. Deal with them once and for all, and then move on to pleasurable tasks. That sounds like somebody else's horoscope. But they're gonna be waiting on you. I don't know what the officials gonna be waiting on you for, but I'm not doing anything that's gonna require the officials to be waiting on me, Fish. I don't know about you. I'm just gonna stick to my ability to motivate others. Listen. Don't do it. They're gonna be waiting on you. Whatever it is you're about to do that you know you should not be doing, Fish, don't do it. They already know you're gonna do it, and they're gonna be waiting on you. All right. So that's all the horoscopes I got for you today. You know, today is my Friday. It's really Thursday, but it's my Friday. I'll be back again on Monday at 10 a.m. to bring you more of the horoscopes brought to you by noted astrologer Micah Thyssen. But now let's get on to my guest. My guest today is Mrs. Carol Love. She's the executive director for Family Promise of Gwinnett, and she's a soccer mom, and she's a champion for the homeless. I am so happy to have her here with us today. She's going to share with us what the Family Promise of Gwinnett is and what Promise Haven is. And you guys are going to be really touched by this because I was, and I'm really excited and honored to have her as my guest. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Audrey. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know that you are a soccer mom, so tell us how old is Tristan?
Tristan is 6.5, and I was a soccer mom briefly. I haven't updated that bio since then, and he might want to do it again, but I had started him. My life changed drastically last August.
Wow.
In 6 days, really.
Wow.
So last August, in 1 week, my son, Monday he starts kindergarten. So I had previously worked from home for 5.5 years while bringing him up. And then all of a sudden, I start having to take him to school on a Monday. Tuesday, I become the soccer mom. Wednesday, I become the carpool mom. And then Thursday, I start my job as the executive director at Family Promise of Gwinnett. So my life drastically changed. He went to soccer. We tried that for that first semester, for the first 2 months while I had started my job. And so now that's been obviously COVID happened, so that's temporarily on hold. I'm thinking I might become more of a basketball mom. That was my sport. and he's really liking that right now a little bit more. So, but he's also a drummer. And so I have a little musician because he's got this heart of gold, and I want to foster that for him. So, yeah, he's 6.5, beautiful boy, goes to Parkview Christian School and has homework now, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to, figure my life out as a single mom, a mom to a kid who has a first grader, and, fulfilling the calling that I have on my life to, help the families who are going through temporary homelessness and their children, because we really focus on the children, and wanting to give them a safe and secure environment, a family that will love on them, and, even help them in their homework. I think that's, with my son going into first grade having homework, I finally was like, oh my goodness, I definitely understand why these families need someone to help their children with homework, because I'm a single mom trying to do it by myself and trying to work. And if you're going through crisis, you're going through a fog, so you need all the helping hands that you can get. And I do have a good support system. His dad is actively involved and a great man, and my mom helps me. And it takes a village, and that's what I love about Family Promise, and how I learned in this last year why we have the people that help everyone out. And so I've gotten a little far in advance, but that's a little bit about me and my life, briefly.
Well, thank you for sharing that. How has it been for Tristan going back to school now with the whole COVID? Because I know a lot of people, it was kind of weird because when I talked about, kids returning to school, I didn't think as many kids was going to be returning as there were. And in Gwinnett County, I think it was something like 175,000 kids that actually returned to school. And it was like 5,500 who didn't. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a lot. So I was thinking people weren't going to send their kids back to school, because I was like, I don't know if I would send my kids to school. But, I think the harsh reality is that parents have to work, and a prime example is that is my daughter. She has I have a granddaughter. She's almost 2 years old, and it was like, man, how we gonna work with the baby? And so we just had to step out on faith and say, you know what, we're gonna take her to the daycare, and we're gonna just believe in God that she's gonna be okay, and she's been fine so far. So how has that been for you and Tristan adjusting to going back into the classroom? Has he gone?
It has been really great. Last year, everyone went through crisis. Everyone goes through those days of depression and so much anxiety, and trying to balance that, is really hard. So Tristan's school is unique. I love Parkview Christian. It's based on a homeschool model, and they have never had more than 10 kids in a class. And so they limited the amount of kids per class this year to 9, because, you could always meet in groups of 10, I believe. But this year they limited it to 9 per class, and he actually just has 5 in his class. So there are 2 first grades over there, and I think both have 5 in them. Maybe one has 6. But, it is such a loving environment over there. They have worked hard to make sure everybody feels comfortable, and everybody has their own viewpoints on how they want to handle the situation. And, some people want to work from home because there are people that have health, or do digital learning from home because they have health problems, or people in their house. Or that they come in close contact with elderly people. They want to make sure they do digital learning at home, and I can understand that. Mm-hmm. But, for me, figuring out how to work and, make sure he's getting the social contacts that he needs, Parkview Christian has done that. I will tell you, we did have to go home for a couple of weeks and do digital learning, and that was crazy. Trying to balance teaching your child, doing great at your work, being a good mom, trying to have a life, being a good friend, that you fail. Yeah. I think the biggest thing I've learned during COVID is how grateful I am for grace, because I'm so hard on myself, and I've learned I'm learning quicker to not try to take on stuff where I'm not going to be perfect at everything, and it's so funny because I was like, so my son, I had to do digital learning on a Thursday and he was going to go back to school on Friday. And Thursday, I'm just like, oh my goodness, do I need to get on like anxiety meds? And then the next day he goes back to school and I'm like, a weight is lifted. So COVID has been definitely a challenging time, but a time for growth as well. And he's done really great at school, is excited to be there. And I feel safe taking him there for sure.
Yeah, that's how we were. Like, at first we were scared. We were like, it was crazy. But she was, she works in a intense job, and so she sees crazy things throughout the day in her job, and it was like, man, like, and I'm always like on the move, and I'm like, hey, how are we gonna make this work? And so we just, we did some interviews with different daycares, and this one daycare, the woman was really nice, and they do the temperature checks at the door. The parents are not really allowed in the building per se. It was really cool. And so she's been going, and the first couple of days she cried. I cried. I wanted to cry with her. I'm like, oh my God, she's crying so hard. Now she waves goodbye and keep it moving, like bye, and keep it going. So I was like, so it makes me happy to know that she's good every morning. So I understand. I'm not the parent, but I'm the grandmother. And so I'm like, oh my God, like, how are we going to do this? But it's working out well. And I just believe that, we just got to keep the faith and keep it moving in that direction, and they'll all be okay. They'll all be okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I believe in the whole, I want him to build his immune system, and I will tell you this, he had allergies last week come up, and it's very hard as a parent right now in determining if I should send my child to school, because of the uncertainty effect that, so uncertain, like every single symptom is a COVID symptom. But it can't all be that, and so you're having to balance, what do I do with my child? And so I kept him home for 3 days and just monitored him. And, I am someone, I'm learning my sensory stuff, and I definitely don't like to have a mask on, but I definitely didn't want him, because it's such a small group, they also do a lot of learning outside. They don't have to wear a mask the whole time unless they choose to, And so for him, I picked him up on Monday, and he just looked miserable. His eyes were tired. And I said, are you okay? And he said, I just got snot all in my mask. And I'm like, okay. They had said it's okay to have a runny nose because it's allergies, check the temperature, all of that stuff. But I didn't want to send him and have a runny nose and a mask. So I had to make the choice, okay, I'm going to keep you home for 3 days. And one of the days his dad helped out. I took another day. The other day, he was feeling better. He came along to a service project with me to paint one of our transitional houses. So I had to make sure that I wanted him to be able to breathe well and all that stuff. So anyways,
yeah,
that's a challenge during this time. Just even handling your child who's sick is another pressure and anxiety and a decision that you have to make, and like what's best for everyone, what's best for him.
Yeah, that's pretty tough. Now, can you imagine all of this stuff going on, and then you have to find a place for your family to live? So let's talk about Family of Promise and how you got involved with that, and some of the great things that you guys are doing over there.
Okay, let's do it. Well, Family Promise of Gwinnett is a national organization. Well, Family Promise is a national organization that's been around for 30 years. They're headquartered in New Jersey.
Oh.
And they have over 200 affiliates throughout the country. An amazing woman named Karen Olson started it, and basically she was in Jersey and saw a homeless woman on the side of the road, I think over multiple times, and decided I'm going to go buy her a sandwich. And so she started a relationship, bought the sandwich, and then she's like, I want to do more. What can I do? And God gave her this incredible idea, she saw church buildings. And she was like, what happens to these buildings when in the middle of the night? Nothing. They sit empty. How can I partner with this congregations to help provide housing for people. And so she came up with this brilliant idea of using existing resources to meet the needs, the immediate needs for children and their families who are experiencing homelessness. So what the original Family Promise model was, we partner with congregations, and we believe in utilizing existing resources. So we didn't have our own shelter buildings per se. What we did was we partner with, we have over 20 host congregations. And what they do is they would sign up for a week, 3 or 4 times a year, and take their classrooms that they use during the on Sundays and Wednesdays. They would take classrooms and turn them into bedrooms. And Family Promise would bring in beds to these. We would basically move beds from congregations and bring our families there. And for 1 week, the church would take care of all of their needs. They'd come in at 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m. in the evening, and they'd be out by 7 a.m. the next day. Our staff are basically hundreds of volunteers at the churches. So they would have volunteers there that would provide meals, provide fellowship, stay overnight so that there was security for them. And so they would turn these 3 classrooms into bedrooms. And for 1 week, that's their ministry. That's their mission. They're being hospitable. We call our volunteers hosts. We call the people that we serve guests. And they're bringing in people into their house of worship and providing community. Because it's all about what our families need, what these children need, our community. And, we're actually an interfaith hospitality network was our original name. And so there's just sharing love. It's not proselytizing or whatever. It's being there to listen, to a gift of presence for someone, just there for someone who's going through a hard time. So for 1 week, our families typically would have stayed at a Catholic church. The next week, they might have stayed at a Methodist church. The next week, a Presbyterian church. And it's really the kingdom of God coming together to meet the immediate needs for these families. And so that's typically how we have run traditionally. Mm-hmm. And there's over 200 affiliates in the nation. Well, when COVID hit, what happened? We lost all of our volunteers, and most of our volunteers were 60 and up. They were ordered to shelter in place. Mm-hmm. All of us were. And their shelter in place was extended till July, maybe even further than that. And then the buildings became inaccessible. Mm. And so when the government issued that order, we had to pull our families out of the church. Mm. And we typically have room for 3 families up to 14 people because we're limited due to the size of the rooms. But our mission statement is to mobilize communities and congregations to help end homelessness one family at a time. And so we focus for 30 to 90, it's a 30-day program, and you can stay up to 90 days. It's for people who are experiencing temporary situational homelessness. And what's situational homelessness? It's you find yourself, you lose your job. You obviously can't make your rent. And you find yourself out of, having to leave your home. Your kid has a medical emergency and the bills are too much. You also miss work. You find yourself now in a situation of losing your home. And the COVID pandemic is situational homelessness for everyone, so potentially meaning, because you have this major pandemic, you have major unemployment loss. And, but thankfully the government has issued these eviction moratoriums. But so we work with the parents to move them forward in 30 to 60, 90 days.
I'm sorry, let me ask you this. So the hospitality program runs 30, 60, 90 days, but what happens if a family is still not prepared to leave after 90 days? What happens to that family?
So if time needs to be extended, then it does. Mm-hmm. Normally, what we really focus on savings. And in the first 30 days, they have goals to meet. First 30 days is get a job. And it can either be for,
I think I lost you. Okay. You said something, but you went out. We didn't hear you.
Okay, sorry. So for the first 30 days, their goal, if they aren't employed, is to get a job. And it could be just a job for right now. And then we continue to start helping them, look for the job of their passion. But the first thing is, let's get some income coming in. And also it's case by case. Everybody's situation is different. So for the first 30 days, our major goal is, let's get you a job. If you have a job, do we need to find a better paying job? And also, let's start working on savings, because we want to be able to build up that savings so that you are able to, have first and last month's rent. We work with them with financial stuff and everything. People are surprised at what can happen in 90 days. It sounds like a short period, but it really isn't. When I came on board, I have seen a family graduate in 30 days, coming in making $17, $18 an hour. She came in, we partner with Lawrenceville Housing Authority. She came in the first day, something became available in Lawrenceville Housing, and we let her know. And she put together over 100-page application and worked her booty off and got her and her 5 children into a house before Christmas.
Wow.
And so it took 30 days to do that. And, she's hustling, trying to make sure that she can get a stable place for her kids. Well, then there's another example of this amazing man. He was a grandfather with his 2 granddaughters, and all of them had just the most beautiful spirit. And I was so thankful that we could provide a safe place for these 2 young girls, because I did not want them to have to go to an extended stay. But he actually stayed for 87 days, and he got a job like on day 29. We're like, hey, let's get you, we're working with him trying to find a job, and, he's knocking on the doors, and okay, this didn't work, but finally, here's that job. And then he had 2 evictions on his record. That's so hard to you can't get market rate of rentals. And so he's knocking on doors trying to do that. We actually partnered with Rainbow Village, and we're able to get him into Rainbow Village on day 87. And so we're working with them, encouraging them in their employment, in their housing search, but also working with them on their finances. I have an amazing case manager, Lindy, who, gives them that listening ear and really can figure out the best way to direct them in that time of need that they're looking at. So a lot can happen in 90 days. And our average stay is in the 70s. So that's where it's situational. Okay. And these people are able to be employed. But yeah, I hope that answered the question.
It did. I was a job coach. I lived in Jersey, so the fact that you said this started in Jersey, I'm like, oh wow, in Jersey. I lived in Jersey. I was born in Georgia, but I lived in Jersey most of my life, but I've been back in Georgia now for 7 years. But when I was in Jersey, I was a job coach under the Welfare to Work Initiative for the Jersey City Training and Employment Center. And one of my jobs was to do case management with women who were supposed to come off of welfare. Because at that time, under the Welfare to Work Initiative, it was like work first. And they wanted women to come off of welfare and get a job. The challenge that I was facing with my clients was that a lot of them, they either had not had high school diplomas, they had no job experience, they had childcare issues. It was a whole bunch of issues. And so we had to do job development for them, and we had to do all this stuff. So how has that been? Have you ran into cases where it was just the family was just really challenging? And I'll give you a prime example. There was a woman, she wasn't my client, but at that time I had just co-authored my first book with my friends. It was called A Cookbook to Romance. And so my supervisors, they all knew that I was into this entrepreneurship thing, and all the other job coaches knew that I was an entrepreneur and all that stuff. And so this one girl, she sent her client to me because her client made these really beautiful pillows. They were gorgeous. And she would make the pillows, and then she would take the little baby bear and stuff it on the side of the pillow. So it was really nice. And I'm like, oh man, that's cute. So she sent the woman to talk to me about how to make that into a business. So she comes to me, and I had just read an article in the Star Ledger talking about how this woman had gone from welfare and launched his cookie company and was making a great living selling cookies in New Jersey. So I cut the article out. I bring the article into my office. She comes into the office to meet with me, and she brings the pillow, and she brings a little portfolio of pillows that she's done. And I'm like, oh my God, those are amazing. So I'm looking through the portfolio, and I give her the article to read. And so she's reading the article, and then one of the other job coaches say, hey, Audrey, can we see you in the hallway for a minute? So I said, yeah, sure. I go in the hallway, and they go, she can't read. I'm like, I felt so bad. I felt so horrible, but I didn't know because her job coach didn't tell me that. And so when I came back in, I apologized to her, and she's like, yeah, no problem. She was 40 years old. I was 28. And I'm like, okay, so how am I supposed to help her? Like, I don't even know where to start. So I said to her, I said, listen, entrepreneurship is tough. I'm going through that right now, but it's going to be even tougher for you because you can't read. I said, you're going to have to learn how to read. So when you meet families who have challenging situations like that, what have you done to like help them? Because I know for me, that job at that time, being 28 and a single parent myself, now I'm an old lady, but then it was like, oh my God, like I'm trying to help people who are older than me get their life together, and I'm trying to figure my own life out. How has that been when you have those challenges?
Well, I feel like that was when we started the program, when I came on board, it's like the stress of me trying to figure out my job and having to hire a case manager and go through some changes in the organization. And my background is not social work at all. My background is actually accounting. And so my gifting isn't in case management, but I have had a wealth of experience and life experience to be able to empathize and relate. But that's why I'm so grateful for my case manager. When I came on board, there was a woman who came in who I feel like has an entrepreneurial spirit. Her creativity blew me away. But she worked, she was doing like med tech stuff and phlebotomy, and we partner with the WIOA, people at Gwinnett Tech, and we send people over there. And so we are all about how can we also help you keep learning so that you can keep earning, like you said. And so we partnered with them, and thankfully we were able to, in that time, I think she had a grant to pay for school, but we were in the process of trying to figure out how to get her child care. And until she could get her child care benefits from the government, we were able to help pay for some child care for her. And so, there are so many pieces to the puzzle to try and help them move forward. I mean, number one, okay, right now, situational. Let's make sure we get you all the benefits that you're entitled to. And don't look at it as though you have to stay on that forever. I had a very good friend that I grew up with who got pregnant at a young age, and they were on welfare. And then, her husband is, now making six figures. But when they got married, they had to do it. And then it was experiencing that, but knowing that this is a temporary thing. And so we make sure that they get, on food stamps and are able to roll those food stamps over for when they do move out, because we're providing all the food for them while they're there. Making sure they get their benefits for child care. And also, we want them to try to get child support if they need it. So, that's why I have a wonderful case manager in Lindy who is really honing her skills, because she actually had a hospice background and had also worked at Grady, but now she's coming in and is wanting to help families who are experiencing homelessness, and she's having to learn a new tactic and new connections in the community. So I think she does a really great job with that.
I didn't know how prevalent homelessness was in Gwinnett County until back in December. Derek J. Wilson, he was running for commissioner for District 3, and he did an event called Christmas in the Park, and I was there broadcasting live from the event, just talking about, going around with the microphone, talking to people, telling them about what was going on. And I did not know that there were so many people who lived in extended stay. And so what was so cool about that event, it was freezing that day too, Carol. It was so cold. It was in December. It was raining. It was cold. And he was giving out coats, and he was giving out free lunch, and he was giving out toys because it was right before Christmas. And he asked me to be a part of it by, announcing it and help promoting and things like that. And it was so wonderful to see people come out and take advantage of all the coats and all the toys, and the food was delicious. But I think when I looked at the families, because it wasn't just single people, it was like mom and dads and kids. I'm like, wow, right? You know what I'm saying? So you kind of think about, how did they get to that place? And I know for a lot of people, people frown on that. But let me tell you, when I was younger, my daughter was probably about 3 years old, and I was working. I had a full-time job working at a hospital. But, before I had her, I had a lot of fun. I partied all the time, and I shopped all the time. And it wasn't until she was 3 years old that I had to say, okay, you gotta act like you have some sense. And I remember she and her dad was about to go somewhere, and I went outside in my backyard, and we had gravel in our backyard. I stepped down wrong and tore a ligament in my ankle, and I passed completely out from the pain. He had to carry me in the house, and I couldn't walk for like probably 2 or 3 months. But at that time, I had to get on welfare. I was like, okay, my unemployment doesn't, my disability does not kick in because I was in a union. It took a minute for the disability to kick in. But for about 3 months, I had to go get my Family First card just like everybody else because I had not saved. I wasn't responsible. I was still trying to get used to being a mother because I was used to, being free to roam. I traveled and I partied and I shopped. That's what I did. That's what you do when you're 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? And so, but that one single event changed my life and my perspective after that. And she was 3, and it was right after I got back on my feet. I went back to work. I got off welfare for them 3 months, and I was like, yeah, that's never happening again. And it has never happened again, thank God. But it's that one turn of events that could change your life. And so a lot of times I think people frown at people, and they think that, oh my God, they could have just did this, or they could have just did that. And maybe they could have. Or maybe they wanted to, and maybe they just couldn't. So when people come to you guys for help, I know you got the hospitality program, you got the day center program to help them after that. How do they feel once they leave? Because I'm pretty sure, like, I realized after that event, like, yeah, that's not gonna happen again. I made it my business, and it's so funny because I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years, 21 full time. And I've been an entrepreneur for so long, people don't even remember when I had 3 jobs. My mom was like, you had 3 jobs? I was like, yeah. Wow. I had 3 at one time and the baby. She's like, yeah, I don't remember that. I was like, I know, but I remember. I remember every one of them because I did them all at the same time. But that was me making up my mind. And I know mindset has a lot to do with what we do. How has that been like? What has it been like for the family who have left and succeeded? Have they come back and said thank you? Have they come back and said, you know what? I am so grateful that you moved me forward, and I'm never coming back. And not that I didn't like you guys, but I'm just, that's not a place I want to be in.
Well, right, and it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
We're family promise because we promise to keep families together. So when with that being said, when you go to a traditional shelter downtown, boys can be separated from their parent, from their mom, at the age of 13, sometimes 10. And so we are able to accept boys, males in our program, 18 and under. We actually take in intact families, single mothers, single fathers, guardians with their kids. But like the family that we were helping during the pandemic, she had 5 kids. And boys aged 18, 17, 16, a girl who I think she turned 14 or 15, because most everyone had a birthday while they were in our program because they stayed in our program for 4 to 5 months, because, we've got to help them through this pandemic. And then she also had a 6-year-old. So we were able to keep all of them together. Where if they went down to another county, to that regular shelter downtown, can you imagine having your 18-year-old, 17-year-old, and 16-year-old away from you?
No.
Those are boys. So
no.
They're not, they're not men. And
right.
So we are able to keep our families together. So we say, we promise to keep your family, and we promise to become part of your family if you so choose. Some people, they're just trying to hustle and get in and out. And our regular program, that rotational program, that's hard. It's a mobile shelter. It was a mobile shelter, and you rotated. Every Sunday you were having to move to a new church. You were having to leave at 7 a.m. It was to keep you moving forward. It was an awesome program to keep you moving forward, but it was a hard program. And so, you're also meeting different people every night. But the point, that hospitality is to say, hey, we care for you, and hopefully someone will connect, and you'll be able, I have vision of other things that I want to do with our program, with mentoring and community groups and stuff like that. But in the traditional, it was, many people would make a connection with someone at that church. They might start going to a church. They had the opportunity to become part of a community wherever they so chose. And so we have several people that became a part of our family forever. So our former board president, she actually just passed away, but she came into the program about 9 years ago. So it was a single mom. She came in, she needed help. She went through our program. We helped her get through school, and she got an accounting degree. She ended up going into our transitional house at one point, and she loved Family Promise so much that she ended up coming on board and being a part of our board, and was a board treasurer, and then got involved with Family Promise National and on the guest advisory council, where they have former guests in the program talk about better ways for us to operate and how to interact with these families, because some people want to help, but I think everyone's learned that we all have bias, and we all have to overcome bias in order to love,
Right.
So what's the best way that we can help the volunteers understand the situation that they're in, or how best to relate to a family? And then so she got involved with that. And then she came on, they had asked her to come on and be the board president back in 2018. She came back on the board in 2019, and she hustled hard, and she had her kids be a part of everything. Her kids would come in and set up beds on Sunday. They would want to come and play with the kids because they remembered what it was like when they were there, and they became a part of Family Promise. And they will always be a part of Family Promise. Sarah, it was in the newspaper, Sarah tragically died in a drowning accident back on Labor Day. Oh. And the response of everyone who was a part of Family Promise was, how can we help these girls? What do they need? What do they need? And so I connected with her brother, who now has custody with them, and I met him. And I said, listen, I want you to know that there are people that are here to help, and you have a family for these girls for the rest of their lives. And I want to make sure that I have a connection with you, because I know that people will want to send money to you to know whatever the needs are. And Family Promise National as well. They're like, we want to make sure that we can get you any kind of counseling for the girls. So when you choose to make us your family, you become part of the family. One other story real quick. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to post this video on our social media, and it'll be on our website at some point. But I had a young lady email me back in December. She said, hey, I want to come volunteer on Christmas. I went through the program and just want to be able to get back this Christmas. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I would love to hear your story, because I'm brand new. I've been there for like 3 months. And let's connect. So we connected. I, in my mind, was thinking, I'd meet this woman who went through it as a parent. Well, no, she comes in and I hear her story, and she went through it as a child.
Wow.
She was 13, one of the first families. We've been around for 15 years in Gwinnett, one of the first families that went through our program. And she was talking to me about what it was like as a child. She was 13 and was not happy to be there, going through teenage angst, having to grow up overnight, not able to hang out with her friends at her home anymore. And, she had talked about how she had gotten a T-shirt for Christmas and how she just was like, man, don't even spend money on me. Just get toys for my little brothers. Don't even focus on me. Like, she grew up overnight. But she held on to that shirt for 15 years.
Wow.
She was doing this Marie Kondo thing, and she was thanking all of her stuff. And she came upon that shirt. It's going to make me cry. And she just started crying. And she just started thinking about the volunteers that had helped her in that time. And that's when she reached out. And she'd done some other things with Brent Bohannon back in the day and done some food, different kind of food drives or whatever kind of drives. When she told me her story, I was like, we were in the process of getting board members on, and I said, would you like to come and be on our board? Because she has a legal background. She's a paralegal now. And she come on board as our board secretary. Well, on Monday night, she came and spoke, because we haven't really talked about Promise Haven yet, but she came and spoke at the city council, and she told her story. And she talked about how she spoke for every child in this community and she felt like she could speak as a child because she was that child 15 years ago. And she's so well-spoken, so brilliant, a go-getter, owned her own home at the age of 21, single mom, just got remarried, and has the heart to give back. And she's like, you're looking at a child who has been a success story from Family Promise. And so even though she had, it's like little bits, they'll come back and they'll volunteer here and there. And then here it is that at this moment in life, now she's back and she's 27, 28, on a board secretary, amazing knowledge, great insight, and a huge passion. And so if someone chooses, they can come along for the rest of their life and be a part of the family.
Wow, that is an amazing story, man. That is really big. And that just goes to show the work that you guys have done, you're doing over there. How many families do you help at one time? Because I know you can't take everybody, but how many do you help at one time?
It's typically 3. At Promise Haven, we could potentially take 4 depending on the size of the family. And that's our max. It may be that we could potentially just have 6 people in the program if when they come on board, it's a mom with a child, It just depends on the makeup. The largest family that we can take is a family of 6. But it just depends on the makeup of the families. And, they have to go through an interview process. We're what people would consider a high barrier program. So there's a background check. There's a drug test. There's, you got to do a TB test. I mean, you're doing communal living, and it's going to look different when COVID happens. But I mean, since COVID, and the way that we're going to start back is we're going to start back, little by little, bringing in more families, because communal living is going to look different, and we want to make sure everyone's healthy and safe and institute rules, because if now is a good time, to transition into Promise Haven?
Yep, that's right, because I was just about to say, let's talk about Promise Haven and transition in.
Okay, so during the pandemic, when we got displaced from the churches, we had to pull our family out and put them in an extended stay motel. That's like the last place that we want to have people, but everyone was ordered to shelter in place. The volunteers, churches shut down, church buildings shut down. Their love did not shut down because they still provided money for our families to eat. So we pull our family out, put them in an extended stay motel. We had to do 2 rooms because it was at that moment a multi-generational family with a grandma and a mom and the kids. So there was actually 7 there. And so we had to do 2 rooms. And this was, March 23rd. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, well, we're probably going to go back into the churches April 17th. Well, then, April 30th the shutdown is extended. So I end up doing a fundraiser for people to help us continue to pay for a hotel. And I get a phone call from a guy from St. Vincent de Paul, and he's a supporter that goes to one of the Catholic churches. And he's like, Carol, you got to get creative. That's $500 or $1,000 a week. I think we were spending about $500 a day. I can't remember totally, but we put them in a very nice extended stay. Mm-hmm. So it might have been, I think it was about $500 a month or a week we were spending. He said, that's not sustainable. Take a look and see if you can come up with a creative idea on where to house them. See if you can find a building, a house on a church property. And we kind of talked to some people who had homes on the church properties, but some were taken. They already had a family in there, like a missionary or something was staying, or it just, there was a church that had a house on their property that had a pool, and the liability there just wasn't a good option. Mm-hmm. So anyways, then I get a call from a pastor, an email from a pastor. He's like, how much would it cost to take care of the families for 3 months? And then I did the calculation, and I was like, oh my goodness, that's like $15,000. Mm-hmm. So I guess it was about $1,000 we were paying a week for those 2 rooms. So I ended up contacting a guy who had just come on our board from St. Edward's Episcopal Church. He had told me about this house that St. Edward's had on their property. And I said, hey, is this actually doable? Like, can we use this? And he said, well, let me check with, the priest and everything. He said, it needs some work. And I said, well, let me just come in and look at it. And I came in, and it had not been used. It had some water damage that they had gotten fixed, but there was no carpet, no flooring down. It was used for storage. It smelled. The paint needed to be put on the walls. But I walk in, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I just had vision for mm-hmm. what it could be mm-hmm. in the future. Mm-hmm. And they're like trying to reel me back in. I'm like, we could totally use this for our families in the future. So anyways, we got the okay to move our families out of the hotel, and we flipped this house in 6 days.
Wow.
Not like full reno, but like I call Atlanta Flooring and Design on a Tuesday at noon, and I don't have any kind of in with them, and I tell them what's going on. At 3:00, I'm at Atlanta Flooring and Design, hauling in $6,000 worth of carpet tiles for free.
Wow.
And so we were able to I was able to get about 15, 20 volunteers in there working hard, and flipped it in 6 days. So we were able to move them out of a hotel where, there's sex trafficking, drug use, all that mm-hmm. stuff, into their own home, temporary home. And so while, so they finished out there at this house. And then that whole time during the pandemic, I'm taking a pulse of the churches to see, hey, when do you think we'll be able to bring families in? When are y'all going to start having services? Well, churches aren't operating at full capacity yet, and it's going to be a while. Mm-hmm. So we ended up working with St. Edward's and decided, hey, we're going to pivot our model. We're going to change our model, mm-hmm. and let's see what we can do here. And so we started working with the city council and the mayor of Lawrenceville, mm-hmm. who everyone has a big heart for Family Promise. I can't say more about the leadership. I know we're cutting it. Do I need to wrap it up?
No. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, we're good. Okay. I can't say more about the leadership of the city of Lawrenceville. Their hearts for the community to serve every citizen is truly there. And so we partnered with them, and we've worked for the last 4 months to prove to them that we will run this well. And so unanimous decision to rezone this house and give us a special use permit so that we can continue ministering to these families and be successful at this and not be an eyesore in the community, not be what people think of as a typical, people, they called it a shelter. We consider it a transitional home.
Mm-hmm.
We're serving children and their families, and it is now a true local mission trip for churches. So instead of, the model is going to be give opportunities for more people in the community to come in and volunteer. But what we do is people will sign up and take on either half a week or a week. The churches and other community groups can say, we're going to provide this week of hospitality in the house, and this is going to be our local mission trip. And so instead of the churches taking in the people to their homes and it being an in-house mission trip, you know, inside the four walls, it's a mission trip the most 30 minutes down the road.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for many of it, we're situated right between Pleasant Hill Baptist and St. Edward's. And so they're obviously going to be able to have a lot more involvement because it's right next door.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such an opportunity to be a beacon of hope in the community, to where these families will have community and people to love on them. And, you know, I love the program because we meet the need for both sides of the equation, the people that want to give back and want to make a difference in a child's life and in a woman or a father's life. We give them the opportunity to serve 365 days a year. And then for the people who need housing, we meet that need. And we pour on love, just to love and kindness to help them in that situation.
Well, I could tell you that's really, really wonderful. And as I was sitting here thinking, I honestly had a flashback to last year in December when we were able to feed those people and give them coats. And it was, I keep saying it was cold because that was probably one of the coldest days. I'm like, it is freezing right now. But I got to tell you, I look forward to working with you guys. And before the show started, I text my husband. I was like, hey, do you want to volunteer with me once a month? And he was like, what are we going to be doing? I said, well, you're going to be cooking and I'm going to be giving a workshop, but I have to run it by Carol. But he said yes, because he's a good person and he loves to cook. And, and he cooks well. That's the other thing. Like, I'm not saying it because he's my husband. I'm saying it because he cooks a lot and he cooks well. And so whatever we can do, we could volunteer once a month to bring a hot meal and some education to the people who may need it, whether it be, how to get a job or how to start a business, if you want to write a book or whatever it is, we could do that. And he and I have talked about some other things before, but I feel like this is the perfect time for us to get involved with just giving back. And, one of the other things that I'm doing, I've launched a rug company, and you and I were talking about this off the air, but I didn't even, when I got your bio, I didn't even know you had a connection with Habitat for Humanity, which is, I'm going to be leaving in about, as soon as we get off the show, to go have a meeting with them because I'm going to be donating rugs when they build new homes. And so as you help families transition into their new homes, I would like to do the same thing for Family Promise of Gwinnett, donate a rug to their new homes, because I love beautiful homes. And I know people love to decorate their homes. And I was like, man, that, to me, just thinking about that makes me smile, because I just know how it makes me feel when I have to do it. So I would love to do that for the organization as well as being able to volunteer once a month with my husband to do something. I think right now, Promise Haven is just coming at the right time. It's the holiday season coming up, and it's going to be nice that the people, families that have somewhere to go and just have a nice holiday meal with the kids. And I see the picture in my mind, and I can just see how a family would just say yes to that, because I know how I feel this time of the year. Like I'm grateful every day of the year, but when the holiday season come around, I love it even more. So I think what you're doing is really, really amazing. And I know that right now you can't serve but a few families, but I believe that the families that you're serving are probably super grateful for the fact that you are helping them, and your organization is helping them to just have a peace of mind, like a good night's sleep for a second, until they can get back on their feet.
Yeah, and let me clarify one thing though, because we are actually in the process of a capital campaign. We overcame the first hurdle, which was getting it rezoned.
Mm-hmm.
But now, when it's rezoned, we have to get it back up to code, and there's a rehab that has to take place.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a capital campaign for that.
Okay.
But we're also doing Adopt a Project. So we're partnering with different organizations and people in the community and churches that are going to adopt a room and come in and rehab it for us.
Okay.
And so there's lots of opportunities for people to get involved in that. Right now, we're wanting to get connected to architects, mechanical engineers, plumbers, companies that might be willing to donate appliances, cabinetry, countertops, people that might want to purchase the bunk beds that we need or build the bunk beds that we need, and people that will take on a room and make it home, because you and I, we love beautiful homes. I love a beautiful home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, everything has to be okayed by me that comes in here, because what I've done at our day center, what I've done when I worked here before for at their Salt Lake Center, any place that I go, I want it to be a place where I want to be,
mm-hmm.
and I want to feel at home. And so making it a true homey feel is what my goal is. And so right now we are doing a capital campaign for that. We have like other events, fundraisers that we have going on, like our golf tournament on October 19th.
Okay.
And then November 14th, we partner with Ordner Construction, and they do a run for us every year. And this year is actually, I really love what they're doing. Ordner, Dave Ordner and Jeff Ordner, they have a heart for giving back to the neighborhood. And so they have a heart for the first responders. They have a heart for homelessness. And so this year their event is tying all their heart together, where they're getting proceeds to, they're collecting money and sponsorships to go to the fire station and police department that are by their office, as well as Family Promise of Gwinnett and Rainbow Village. So he's touching the entire community. When you look at it, it's rescuing children and families and individuals that may be experiencing hard times and homelessness.
Mm-hmm.
The first people that find someone, sometimes if it's, if they're in an unsafe environment at an extended stay or sleeping in their car, they probably come in contact with a police officer possibly,
mm-hmm.
And they actually want to help. I mean, the police officers really want to know what's out there to help.
Mm-hmm.
And so they first touch them. Then Family Promise is that 30, 60, 90-day program. They're the next step in a continuum of care process. So they come to Family Promise. And then we partner with Rainbow Village, who has a 2-year program. And so it's really cool how all of us are coming together, and the Ordner family is supporting us. And so that's November 14th is a virtual 5K that we're trying to get people out to know about. But Promise Haven, we want to get this up and running Q1 2021. And because there's lots of things that have to go in place when you're rehabbing, and you're having to make sure you meet zoning and code requirements. This is a house that was built in, I think, the 60s or 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful 2-story columns. You'd never think it was used to house families who are in temporary homelessness.
Wow.
And that's what I love. I love you're coming up to this beautiful 30, semi-mini mansion, I guess. I mean, it's 3,200 square feet. And, you're coming up there, and it's not some sort of institutional building. It is a place it's called Promise Haven. And it's a sanctuary for families to come to and move forward in life. So we are looking for any kind of sponsorship and support to help us make this happen as quickly as possible, because we want to be there and available when eviction moratoriums end, which I feel like is probably going to be at the end of the year. Actually, it might be. They don't normally move people out during the holidays. So we want to be able to be up and running for when stuff like that happens.
What's your goal for the fundraising? What's your goal amount?
Overall, so I would really, we did this in phases, and the first phase is $175,000. Now, a lot of that is included in-kind donation. Like, now we're having to get with fire code, and Wigington Fire has donated the sprinklers. So I have people that are donating in-kind gifts, and that's what I love to see. I'm like, please donate me an appliance, please donate the flooring, whatever it is, because when I get to see God provided this, somebody provided this, it's tangible. It's like, oh yeah, look, I would love to just spend $5,000, on rehabbing this house. I would love to see the community come in and volunteer their time, talents, and treasure in order to make this happen, because it's really an opportunity for the community to come together and put their hands and their resources together to meet these needs and provide this wonderful safe place for children and their families while they're experiencing homelessness.
So right now you're in the rezoning phase, and then once you pass that phase, then you start the rehabbing phase?
So we are rezoned. So Monday night, the miracle happened. We are rezoned officially to operate.
Okay.
So now we're finishing up the lease agreement with the church, finalizing that, and then we are needing to get some detailed drawings for our architect. Like we've had an architect that donated her time pro bono to get us some site plans put together, but we need to find another licensed architect. We had a landscape architect who spent free hours, I'm sure probably like 100 hours, helping us come up with the landscape phase that we need. So we need people who would donate concrete, and come and make more parking spaces for us. People that will donate plants and get out there and make everything curb appeal and in alignment with what City of Lawrenceville's zoning ordinances are, because we want to make sure that we're honoring all aspects of our community. And since they have trusted us with this, I believe that the community come around and do that. So we also need a fence. So $175,000 is our first goal for this. But if someone has a talent and a gift and is like a licensed contractor, or we would love to get connected to the sewer and someone donate that you have that opportunity. And they can contact me.
Yes.
Directly. My number is 404-552-1007, and that's textable. And that's sometimes the easiest way to get in touch with me. Or my email is clove, like Carol Love, clove @familypromisegwinnett.org.
Okay, all right. So I want to say thank you so much. I'm looking so forward to both working with Family Promise of Gwinnett and Habitat for Humanity as we move forward. I'm just excited to be a part of what you guys are doing, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And thank you so much for being here and sharing this great information, all the wonderful stories. And thank you for helping people, because they really need it. And I saw that firsthand last year in December, so I know that there are people out there who really need what you do. So thank you for doing that and having a heart for the people. And thank you so much again. So you guys got it. You heard the story. You know how to what's the website, Carol?
FamilyPromiseGwinnett.org.
All right, FamilyPromiseGwinnett.org. You heard a lot of the things that they need. If you can do construction, if you are an architect, if you know an architect, if you know how to do plumbing, if you know a plumber, if you know a landscaper, whoever you know, electrician, they need your help. You need your support. I'm going to do what I can to support as well. And anybody that I come across that I may know, I would definitely point them your way. And I'm going to give you a call so we can kind of meet up and chat, because I got some things I want to run by you. But thank you so much again for being here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. 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 All right.
Thank you, Audrey. I appreciate it. And we're going to talk about you doing some classes there because that's what we need. I'm excited.
All right. So listen, guys, that was my guest, Miss Carol Love from Family Promise of Gwinnett. Support the organization, familypromiseofgwinnett.org. Support them. They need your help. They're supporting families. They need your help. Give Carol a call if you can, 404-552-1007, and talk to her about how you want to be able to help the organization out. I'm going to go to a song, and I'll be back to close it out. Thank you again, Carol. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Audrey.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a wonderful day.
You too. All right, guys. I'm going to a song. I'll be right back after this song to give you my closing because you know today is my Friday. I know you guys know today is my Friday. So stay tuned and I'll be back with my inspiration of the day. Welcome back. So listen, guys, that's all I got for today. But before I go, I want to give you my word of inspiration because you know today is my Friday. It's Thursday, but it's my Friday. All right, so here goes my word for today, my inspiration for today. Today and every day, there's always some good you can do. Yeah, let me say that one more time. Today and every day, there's always some good you can do. Listen, y'all just heard my interview with Miss Carol Love. She's the executive director over at Family Promise of Gwinnett. They help homeless families. They rescue homeless families. They need your support. Today and every day, there's always some good you can do. Volunteer your time. Donate your cash. I know, donate $5. Trust me, $5 compounded, it adds up. It really, really does. I know it doesn't sound like a lot right now, but think of the things that she could purchase if it compounds. If people, tell a friend, support. If you know someone who has a skill that can be useful to the goals that they've set, and share it with us today. Tell your friend, tell some people you know to support. I'm going to do my part. I'm always trying to figure out how to do my part. And it's so funny because I feel like I say that a lot, but y'all don't know behind the scenes I do a lot for a lot of folks. And but I am grateful that I can do that. So anyway, support Family Promise of Gwinnett by going to familypromiseofgwinnett.org, because there today and every day, there's always some good you can do. Pick an organization to support. Pick someone to support. Pick someone to uplift. Do something good for somebody today. When you do stuff good for people, you feel good. Trust me when I tell you that. All right, so listen, that's all I got for you today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you spent the last hour and 21 minutes with me, and I do appreciate and love you for that. Be sure to follow me on Facebook at Good Morning Gwinnett. Follow me on Instagram at Good Morning Gwinnett. Follow me on Twitter at Good Morning Gwinnett. And do me a favor, go over to Apple Podcasts. Pick your favorite episode and give it 5 stars. If you got more than one favorite, give it 5 stars. I appreciate that. That's going to help us move up in the ranking in Apple Podcasts. And also, be sure to download the mobile apps to your cell phone so you never miss an episode of the show. You can go do that by going to your Apple Store and your Android Store. Google Play Store is there. And if you got Alexa at home, just say, Alexa, open Good Morning Gwinnett, and the latest episode of Good Morning Gwinnett is going to play on your Alexa device in your home. I know we're everywhere. We're everywhere. You got a Fire Stick, we're there too. All right, so listen, that's all I got for you today, guys. The weekend is coming. Remember to be safe out there. I'll be back again Monday at 10 a.m., God willing. Until next time, make it a great day. Bye, y'all.
You've been listening to Good Morning Gwinnett. Make sure to tune in Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to find out what's happening around Gwinnett. If you like this episode, subscribe now and share with your friends. To learn more about Noise Media Network, visit noisemedia.us.